Yesterday we were talking about how by observing every arising object in the body, which are the mind-body object, at the very moment of their arising, at the very moment, with the method of the practice of Vipassana, every time we observe, we are bound to see the characteristics, namely the individual characteristic, sabhava lakkhana, and common characteristic, samanya lakkhana. Thus, knowing the truth or true nature of the objects. Hence, speaking textually, we can say that it is samadhi. We are cultivating the right understanding or right view, samadhi. So this samadhi is part of the noble path of eight constituents, the path leading to the extinction of suffering. Hence, it is known as samadhi, making up the path of right understanding. Since this is a correct perspective, it is known as chakku, because one is knowing, it is known as jnana, and because it is a discriminating, knowing discriminatingly, it is known as panya, knowing the variety of characteristics, such as the universal or common characteristics, and their conditionality, knowing the universal characteristic of impermanence and so on. Such is, in this way, one is knowing the variety of characteristics. Hence, it is known as panya. And also, it is a penetrating knowledge. It is known as vejja. In this way, in the text are given different names which are synonymous. In fact, one is seeing the truth. Furthermore, it is also called pativeda, penetrating knowledge, knowing openly, and by freeing or by removing the hindrances which hinder the seeing of sabhava, the natural characteristics. Just like when there is a wall in front, in between, you will not see what is beyond. When the wall is penetrated or removed, you will see what is there on the other side of the wall. It's also like light, aloka. So it is a discriminating knowledge by which one knows in a discriminating manner. Pativeda lakkhana panya, panya has the characteristic of penetration. So it is a characteristic of penetrating the hindrances to see what is beyond, openly. What does one know? One knows the sabhava Dhamma, sa, individual, bhava, as it exists. So sa bhava, the individual characteristics, things which happens on its own, or which belongs to oneself, itself, individual characteristics. And sako bhava, sako, individual, and bhava, existing. What is existing individually is known, said to be known. One is seeing face to face with the object, and also seeing the universal characteristics of arising and passing away, and their unsatisfactoriness and selfless, non-self, or no self. That means things are arising on their own, not as your own, at your will. They are unmanageable, uncontrollable, because they arise at their will. Such are the characteristics, common characteristics, samanya lakkhana, namely anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So in this way, one sees, penetrates these two characteristics, individual characteristic and common characteristics. Such is the natural characteristic of panya, namely penetration of the characteristics. When something is, there is a hindrance, a wall or something, one would not be able to see what is beyond. When this is open, then the vision becomes very clear. Such is the nature of panya. Like when the light comes, darkness goes. So to when the entrance is open, then one sees clearly. And one sees in a discriminating manner object of attention, like throwing light on an object when an object is in the darkness, so that one sees it clearly. This seeing the truth. When one sees the truth, the wrong seeing, the wrong knowledge will be gone. One will be free of wrong knowledge. If one is able to observe, if one is not able to observe every arising object, then one will not know mind and body, nor the individual characteristics. Viewing or holding to the view that there is such a thing as person, being, individual, man, woman, I, you, he, and so on, which leads to Maya deity, wrong view. And if one is able to, one will not understand the cause and effect relationship, not seeing the causal mode, conditionality, one will not understand that they are not causeless. Then one will hold the view of the absence of cause. And even if one holds the view of presence of cause and condition or conditionality, one may not understand the relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect. One will still hold that kind of view, such as materiality, the body is the cause of the body, or body gives rise to mind, or mind gives rise to mind is the cause of the body, or mind is the cause of the mind, and so on. So in this way, there are these relevant causes giving rise to relevant effects. Then one will understand that there is such a thing as cause, and will not hold the view of causelessness. There will be no ahedika deity, the view of causelessness. And if one does not understand the relevancy of cause and effect, one will hold the fictitious cause view. So when one sees rightly, samadhi, that there are these cause and condition, and there are relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect, such is seeing rightly, or understanding rightly, samadhi making up. When samadhi making arises, there will be one will become free of Maya deity, wrongful path, wrongful view, wrongful understanding. So that one will not hold the view of permanence as regards impermanent things. One will not hold the view of pleasure in place of suffering, and one will not hold the view of self or soul in place of non-self or non-soul. Because one sees that things are arising on their own, not at your will, and they are ungovernable, uncontrollable. So they are uncontrollable, they are ungovernable, they are arising, they're just a mere process, they're just the characteristics. And one will cultivate such knowledge. Then this view of Adda deity, the individual view of individuality, will be gone, and so will be Maya deity, wrongful view. Because samadhi, right view arises, there will be no more Maya deity, wrong view. Because the two are just opposite to each other. When one sees the truth, there will be no wrong seeing, wrongly seeing. The wrongful seeing will be gone. One will be free of wrong vision. So in the place of Maya deity, there arises the samadhi, because one is seeing the truth. Truth has come about. So such is the benefit of cultivating right view or understanding, right, samadhi. For the practicing yogis, while they're observing this every arising object, beginning with the main object of attention, they practice this power of focusing taking an aim at the object, like practicing the jhanic factor, the factor of absorption. As one is able to do it repeatedly, as the practice proceeds, one's mind is bound to be connected with the object, it will be sustained on the object as though it is touching the object. In this way, we are practicing or applying two jhanic factors, namely vitakka, vichara, aiming and sustaining. And this is practice, as a result of the practice, this will happen. But as time goes on, you don't need to even purposely take an effort to aim or sustain it. These two things will happen automatically as a result of your prolonged practice. Because as the knowing mind is connected with the object, there will be no unwholesome thoughts, even if one may think about sensual pleasures. There will be no craving. One will not think about these sensual pleasures anymore. Even if the object comes to your mind, one will not indulge in such thoughts. And as regards the undesirable objects, one will not have anger or hatred towards ill will towards that undesirable object. There will be no thought about hatred, ill will, and there will be no thought of harming others, even if the object is unsatisfactory. And there will be no such unwholesome thoughts. In this way, the miccha vitakka, the unwholesome thoughts, immoral thoughts are replaced by samma vitakka, wholesome or right or good thoughts. Such is cultivating the samma sankappa, making up the path of right aim. This is one of the factors of the noble path of consequence. In this way, as samadhi, as part of samadhi, these two factors, namely samadhi and sammasankappa, make up the panya khanda, the panya group, or panya sikha, the training of wisdom. And because you are practicing and cultivating these two factors, you are, every time there is this training of wisdom, panya sikha, there will be, one is said to be taking upon oneself the panya sasana, the wisdom teaching, panya sasana. So as the panya sasana becomes very prominent, very obvious, one will be overcoming kilesas, the latent tendencies of the negative afflictive emotions. Not totally, but on a part-time basis at the moment of practicing your vipassana. This samadhi making up is cutting off this latent tendencies of defilements. In a sense, as one is concurrent with the object of attention, seeing the true nature of that object noted, one is said to be cutting off the latent tendency of these afflictive emotions. And thus, such is the benefit of the cultivation of panya making up, or panya sasana. So we have these two trainings, wisdom trainings, namely samadhi and sammasankappa. Are they to be developed or to be abandoned? So if we compare, if we try to think about it, we can understand that they are to be developed. They are worthy of being developed. Hence, it is known as bhavettabha dhamma, the states which are worthy of being developed or to be developed. So these are to be developed by oneself, to be enhanced, to be practiced, to be uplifted by oneself, and such development is known as bhavana, mind development. And because this mind development is in order to cultivate knowledge or wisdom, it is known as panya bhavana, mind development practice to cultivate panya or wisdom. And such practice is manifold better, or it excels manifold ordinary wholesomeness. Hence, wholesome mental practice. Hence, it is known as Adi Kusala Bhavana, superior wholesome mind development practice. Now we still have this another group known as concentration group, Samadhi Khanda, which is made up of Samma Vayama, the right effort or energy, Samma Sati, the right mindfulness, and Samma Samadhi, right concentration. Now, as we are applying this energy in order to sustain or connect and not mind on the object, with the object, this is applying the Samma Vayama, the right energy, continuously as regards the main object, like rising and falling, beginning with the main object and every arising object, so that the noting mind is concurrent and connected with the object. With wakefulness, diligence and activity, such as Samma Vayama, making up the part of right energy, which causes the path to akusala, which closes the path to akusalas, unwholesomeness, and opens the way to wholesomeness. So as for the opposite effects, that is sluggishness, the southern torpor, one will be with the sluggishness, one will be opening the way to unwholesomeness and blocking the path to wholesomeness. So now these things, undesirable states such as sluggishness, southern torpor, are removed. They are not allowed to enter your stream of consciousness because you are wakeful, diligent and active with the application of Samma Vayama making up. The way is open only to wholesomeness, and it closes the way to unwholesomeness. So such an effort, such an application of exertion of energy to be wakeful, diligent and active is the Samma Vayama making up, the path of right energy. As we exert energy, we are bound to sustain our mindfulness. The mindfulness will be sustained automatically with the application of energy as a matter of course. And because the mindfulness arises as is the manifestation of the quality of mindfulness in terms of its manifestation as Areka Vajjipadana, the manifestation of protection or guarding, your mind will be protected by means of mindfulness. When it is protected, it will be safe, it will be secure, and it will be free from bondage of these afflictive emotions, such as it will be free from the afflictive emotions, such as craving, aversion, leading to peace of mind, santi, as one is able to cultivate his Samma Sati, making up the path of right mindfulness. And with the sustained mindfulness, one will be able to concentrate one's mind, deepen one's concentration, giving rise to Khanika Samadhi, so that there will be no discursive thoughts, as is given by the quality of Samadhi, as Avekriya Samadhi. The concentration has the characteristic of non-restlessness or not removing, not going away from the object of attention. There will be no discursive thoughts because the mind falls calm and collected on the object of attention. So that there will be no agitation, no restlessness, no udacha, neither will there be any unwholesome thoughts, mechavidikas. One will be free of these things. So with the application of Samadhi making up, one will be free of restlessness because one's mind is concentrated. In this way, one is cultivating this Samadhi Khanda, the concentration group, or Samadhi Sekha, the concentration training, or Samadhi Sadhana, the concentration teaching. And such things are to be developed. Hence this is known as Bhavitava. And because it leads to the cultivation of knowledge, cultivation of superior states, it is known as Adhikusala Bhavana, part of Adhikusala Bhavana. Mind development practice leading to the superior state of wholesomeness. When this, at the moment of this practice of mind development, of concentration, there cannot arise in one's mind obsessive defilements known as pariyutthana kilesas, such as these negative tendencies of mind, such as like wishing to kill, steal, sexual misconduct, lying, and so on. All these things, all these unwholesome, incorrect mentality, negative states will cease to exist. Such is overcoming or subduing or suppressing the pariyutthana kilesas, obsessive, negative tendencies. And this is the benefit of the practice of Samadhi Khanda, concentration group, or Samadhi Sekha, the concentration training, or Samadhi Sadhana, concentration teaching. Every time this happens, the benefit is the overcoming of the obsessive negative tendencies. So every time one is able to note every arising object, one is knowing in a clear-cut manner the true nature of the objects. Such is cultivating panya, making up a path of wisdom, the two which is made up of two factors. And when they are added to the three factors of samadhi and samadhi group, it makes five Pinchingika making up the five factors, path of five factors leading to the realization of Nibbana. So the practice of precise mindfulness of every arising object, mind-body objects, as one notes, one will be free of these ducharitas, immoral deeds, nor durajivas, wrongful livelihood. In respect of the objects precisely noted, such things will not happen. Instead, the opposite things will happen, such as the noting mind, the noting consciousness will arise. And this is known as Chidupada because it is made up of both the mind, the consciousness, and the consciousness concomitants. And this will be free of this kind of mental group, will be free of ducharitas, immoral deeds, and durajivas, wrongful livelihood. There will be only bhavana mind proceeding continuously. And at this moment, the sila making up, the morality, since one has taken the vows of practice, vows of precepts, and also in the course of the practice, one will not indulge in wrongful speech. There will be only samavacha, making up the path of right speech. One will be speaking friendly, sweet, in a sweet manner, lovely manner, and one will speak what is beneficial, what is advantageous, not meaningless talks. Because whenever they speak, they will be speaking with the meditation teachers, reporting their observations to the teachers. So they are all beneficial speech. And also physically, they will be behaving rightly, samada, correct physical action. Because they have taken the vows of precepts, they will be free from the wrongful livelihood in the course of the practice. They are not indulging in any livelihood, wrongful livelihood. So they will be practicing or cultivating the right livelihood. So this is Samājiva. And these things, vows of precepts, known as Chirana Sila, motivated precepts, because initially also you have taken the vows of precept and you are sustaining them not to break or weaken them. involving the Samma Vaca, the right speech, Samma Kammata, the right action, and Samma Ajiva, the right livelihood. And these three things make up what is known as Sila Khanda, the morality group, Sila Sekha, morality training, Sila Sadhana, morality teachings, or we can even call Sila Bhavana, the mind development practice of morality. And since this kind of Sila morality is better, superior than ordinary morality, it is known as Adi Kusala, superior, wholesome practice. And when it happens, one will be free of the transgressive kind of Videkama kilesas, transgressive types of, or gross types of defilements. One is said to overcome the transgressive form of defilements with the practice of Sila Khanda, the practice of morality. And with the practice of Samadhi Khanda, concentration group, one is overcoming the Pariyotthana, obsessive forms of defilements. And with the practice of Panya Khanda, the wisdom group, or wisdom training, one is overcoming, cutting off the latent tendencies, anusaya kilesas. In this way, it has its own remedy for the respective ailments or pain, just like the physician would give the right medicine for the right disease. As we are able to cultivate these noble pathway constituents, beginning with samadhi, the right view or right understanding, we are said to be practicing this lokiya mega sajja, the truth of the mundane or worldly path, making up mega sajja. As we are able to be mindful of every arising, which are known as dukkha sajja, the truth of suffering, which arise in us, we are said to be accomplishing the task of bhavana, mind development. And this by practicing, developing, multiplying, enhancing, uplifting, we are said to be accomplishing the task of bhavana, mind development. If in 1 minute, the rate of 1 second per function, per accomplishment of bhavana, one bhavana per second, we are able to multiply, enhance and develop this bhavana mind from very tiny stage to a enlarged stage, and we can multiply in terms of quantity as the minutes go on, as the time goes on. In this way, bhavana, mind development, is said to be practiced, enhanced and uplifted. Such is accomplishment of the mind development, the function of mind development, bhavana. And as for a lay person, they have to observe, sustain at least the 5 precepts, and as for the monks, they have their monks' disciplinary rules of monks to be sustained. So if one practices sila, then one is said to be a proper human being, human being. And if one is able to cultivate the samadhi sekha, the concentration training, then one will be able to possess the mentality of a human being, because one's mind is pure. One will be able to possess pure mind. And if further on, if we are able to practice Panya Sekha, the wisdom training, wisdom Sekha, then we'll be above average. Not only just ordinary human being, it will be above average human being. So this practice of the 3 trainings, Samadhi Panya, morality, concentration and Panya, is not to degrade one's status. Instead, so long as one possesses these 3 trainings, one's life will be uplifted. One's the value of humanhood, human value. One's human value will be uplifted, and such a person will be known as a worthy human being. So we can say that this training, the three trainings of Paṇḍitā, helps, sustains, protects, and bears the people who possess or who practices these trainings. This will be continued tomorrow. Sa